Cool. Okie dokie. Welcome back to part 4. Yes, part 4. Confusing myself there. Better known as the final part of today, in terms of information, as you were. I know there's been a hell of a lot of information, but hopefully it's been brought across by bloody hole in a way that it's slowly built upon itself, so that rather than going, too much to take on board, that it's become, oh yeah, that makes sense, yeah, hopefully. Judging by the nods, that's good. Good. I hope that continues. We're going to kind of tweak this, take this to the next stage. Now obviously tomorrow we will be covering the what to do. Because once you know why and how it changes, you've got to know how to make that kind of happen. And you do know that. You already know more than you realise. You just haven't filled in some of the blanks yet, because it goes in a nice logical order. So yeah, we finished up with, you've got to be motivated. Oh yeah, I just need to tell you a couple of bits of housekeeping. The first one is at the end when we finish. Obviously we all make our way out downstairs. Once you've gone out, you can't get back in because the door thing's locked. So please make sure you got anything you require tonight with you. Anything that's left here, well, it'll be locked up here, it'll be locked up there, it's locked up on every floor, and then it's locked up downstairs. Pretty damn safe. Put it this way, I believe in the cameras and gear and all this. So, but just be aware, once you're out, you can't get back in. We'll be going from here to the Flying Horse Hotel near the Town Hall in Rochdale Town Centre, where from 6 o'clock is free to park. Well, it is till the morning. In the morning, then you're supposed to, well, it's still free to park for 3 hours in the morning, but you have to physically get a ticket. Yeah, because some of you want to park up. Going in the Flying Horse, drinkies. We'll be booking a table for Rucci Indian restaurant at 8:15 p.m. so that we're there for 8:15 to sit down, which means we'll leave the Flying Horse at just after 8 o'clock. So if anyone's going to a different hotel and then wants to meet us in the Flying Horse, you need to be there for 8 o'clock, otherwise you're going to miss us. We share taxis up because people obviously are not going to want to drink and drive. At least I hope you won't. So if you can now, just by show of hands, if you're going to be joining us at Rucci at that 8:15 booking time, can we have a show of hands, because Stu needs to give them a rough idea of numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7.
You're not going?
8.
No.
Right. So how many have you got? And yourself?
I've got 8 down there.
That's including yourself. Right, tell them 10.
Right.
Because that way then, if suddenly we get any additions, it'll be fine, and 2 is not that much different anyway.
Yep. Cool.
Cool. Right, that was the housekeeping. Let's get that on. Oh, other than in the morning, yeah, for those who aren't going to join us at the Flying Horse or the Curry House, in the morning obviously you checked in, so please bring your name badges back or leave them here so you can put them on tomorrow, or it's kind of getting to know each other's name, which is good. We will say we can get in from 9:30 in the morning, because we don't need to go through that, just basically get here and then we'll start at 9:45 like we did do, but by the time the brews will be ready for you, because I'll be in here early to switch out. Right, back to the plot. So, hopefully this gave you some food for thought, maybe an exercise to do for yourself, maybe look at things somewhat a little bit differently than perhaps you bloody did me when I hadn't done this for a number of years, and I did it last week. And obviously again when I was doing the flip chart, and I was like, oh, that is what I've got left. Better time to start making it count, really. Bit of a motivation. And that's what you need. And achieving whatever that's good will be massive pleasure, and avoiding wasting that time will be massive pain avoided. So it all ties in with what we're covering. Okay, another thing that's important to consider, and this ties in part with the law of attraction, but it also ties in with the fact of how we handle our clients. The thing called the Ross, I can never pronounce this right. So someone watching this, or someone in the room, if I say it wrong, yeah. Rosenthal effect, Rosenthal. It's one of the two.
Rosenthal.
There you go. I told you I can never say it right. Summed up by the sentence.
And you're right.
Exactly. Which is good, that's positive. If you want to fly with the eagles, you can't continue to scratch with the turkeys. Ziegler the famous motivational speaker, said that. The same thing, but said a different way, is if you want to run with the dogs, you can't continue to bark like a puppy. Now, the importance of this is quite simply this. There was an experiment done, a study done, that shows that the label you were given in life or in any given situation can and does have a significant effect and impact on the results, outcomes or experiences you have. And what they did is they took a whole bunch of school children and they said to the teacher, look, predict which 20% of these, without doing any IQ tests, without looking at any other previous, just which 20% are going to do best in the kind of next year. They randomly picked the equivalent of 20%. It may as well have been by pulling names out of a hat. It really was truly random. It was not based on their previous academic ability. And they said, right, that 20%, those people in particular, tell them that they're guaranteed to pass their exam. They're going to do amazingly well. Tell them again, time and time again, several times a day, every day they're at school. The other 80% either don't say anything or say, you know what, I'm not too sure that you're going to do that one. At the end of the year, the people who incidentally turned out when they examined it closely, previously a lot of them, a percentage of them, were people that hadn't done that well academically. So if you were just going to go off what the likely results would be based on the previous academic ability, you would have said that they would not have been amongst a group of people that will be in the top 20% of results. Yet despite that, because they got told every day numerous times, and then every day of the week and weeks and months of the year, they did, the vast majority of them ended up being the ones that were predicted by that random picking, being the 20%, did because they got labelled as being the best and got told they were the best and they were doing well. They did do that well because they were given a label. They were given they therefore self-identified, if not initially, but eventually through brainwashing, conditioning, repetition, more pattern matching, memories of the teacher saying you're great, with the idea that they were good, they could do this, they could achieve this. So their association, their internal pattern matching, call it what you will, all ties in with what we've already covered. I can see by the nods, thank God that you're getting where I'm going with this, which is good. We're with a positive label. Whereas the others, some of whom academically should have done better because they didn't get that positive reinforcement and they weren't given a positive label, they labelled themselves as not as good and kept repeating that association to themselves, so they self-identified ultimately with not being as good, and it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Hence, also the other knock-on effect of that is the ones that were told they would do better kind of associated with each other more. They hadn't done previously, but because they wanted to fit in with the other people who were classed as being the ones that would do well, they didn't want to associate anymore with the people who were probably not as good as them. So their social group was the people who all believed or became to believe that they do well. Well, you know, you can see this, the negative side is people who often get addicted to drugs, end up in a circle of drug users, and that's why they say, you know, when they get off it, they've got to change the whole circle of friends, because that's their label, that's their association. Literally, if you want to run with the dogs, you can't continue to bark like a puppy.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah, another way of saying it. These things that sound like cliches out of context actually are truly, genuinely powerful and relevant to everything that we do. So taking the idea of the label, putting that to one side for a short moment, Albert Einstein once said, imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. I'm not sure, well, it ties in with what I but it's also been said what the mind of man can perceive and believe it can achieve. I touched on this earlier. But if we take those two things together and look at the story of Roger Bannister, he was the first guy to run a mile in 4 minutes. That's why I got it wrong there. I quite often say 3 minutes, which is fucking amazing. But 4 minutes. He was relatively as athletic as other athletes at the time. There were people just as good as him. But none of them believed it was possible. He said to himself, you know what? I'm in the process of making this possible. He reframed it, like we talked about before. I will do it, but I'm in the process of it. I've decided it will happen. All the things we talked about before. And ultimately, in the end, he did do it. Which is great, wonderful. That proves that what we talked about before works. What's more interesting is the fact that the moment he'd done it, within a matter of days, somebody else did. Within a matter of weeks, quite a few people did. Within a few months, loads of athletes did. And they hadn't suddenly got any fitter or any faster or any... They just suddenly believed it was possible. So any doubt was removed of the possibility. They'd seen someone else had been able to do it, so why shouldn't they be able to do it? Which again ties in with what we've already spoken about earlier. And also bear in mind this. The reaction to your nightmares, if you've ever had a nightmare, which I'm going to substitute for the word nightmare, your imagination, is proof that the unconscious or subconscious part of your mind truly cannot tell the difference between real events or vividly imagined events. Because if it could tell the difference, you wouldn't wake up shivering, shaking and sweating when you had a nightmare. It's only because your brain tells your body that it's happening for real and then you wake up and go, oh no it isn't, but you've started to react the way you would have done. That's the proof you need to realise, is the proof that imagining something, the brain doesn't know the difference between an imagined event and a real event. Hence with sports psychology side of hypnosis, you get someone to mentally rehearse, doing the perfect golf swing, seeing themselves doing the ball and doing it again and again and again and again. They end up with in their mind loads of images in the pattern matching file of having done it for real, and the brain doesn't know whether they did it for real or it was an imagined thing. So when they go to do a golf swing, they go pattern matching, it goes, they should stand perfectly like this, hold it perfectly like that. It's like they've done it physically numerous times, and there have been studies done to show that that can even be more effective than actual physical repetition. Obviously, the best altogether is to do both, but hopefully it makes the point. And the repetition of suggestion equals what reality people come to believe. If that's negative suggestion, be a negative outcome, positive suggestion, positive outcome. We've already covered that, but it's worth repeating. Emile Coué's law of reversed effort. What resist persists, taking another step, is that when the imagination of the human will, i.e. conscious mind imagination, when they're in conflict, the unconscious, the imagination, will always win. Because when it's been imagined and already got past, which I'll talk about in a minute, the bounce of the doorkeeper of your mind, or some people call it the critical faculty or analytical area of the brain. Once you've already got something happening in your unconscious, subconscious mind, the mind keeps it here, and that will overrule what's here, because the doorman's not letting that bit in, because that might contradict this. And this, even though it's only imagined, the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So the imagination will win this, unless you reinstall loads of different pictures for pattern matching. Goes back yet again to what we said before. So, two random bits, they do tie in one. Questions worth asking yourself, goal setting wise, law of attraction wise, or also therapeutically this can be useful. It's for you, or in the case of being a therapist, to tell the client to do it themselves. Ask yourself the question, will this next action bring me closer to or take me further away from my ultimate goal of filling in the blank? Fill in the blank means whatever. Or closer to or further away from moving house, or becoming a successful hypnotherapist. Which reminds me of the mental trigger that straight after the event, here, before we go, and also during the course of the evening, Stuart will have some raffle tickets for sale. They'll also be for sale in the morning, when you arrive. They'll also be for sale tomorrow morning's first break. And at lunchtime, but then they'll be drawn straight after lunch. In a nutshell, what this is, and it ties in with the making things happen. If you want to be a professional hypnotherapist, one of the things you're going to have to do is advertise yourself. This day and age, that means having a website. 3 of you in the room went for a package where you've already got your website, so this doesn't apply to you, okay? But to the rest of you, if you buy a raffle ticket for, God knows, 10 quid, is it?
£10
Yeah.
ticket, yeah.
You will get a raffle ticket that means one of two things. Well, it means one of several things. Either A, you become the outright winner, in which case you will get, when you've got the leaflet about it, the 8 websites, templates, package thing, 9 now, that normally sells for 600 odd quid, which will help you get clients. Or if you don't win outright, your raffle ticket will be worth to you 50 quid off getting them, should you choose to end up getting them, so you save yourself money. And that is assuming that you get your websites this weekend. And also, I'm going to say this, and I haven't even agreed to this, but also it will get you, I've forgotten what percentage it worked out for this previously, but you'll also help you get a discount off any printing and stuff in the future.
Oh, yeah.
You'll look after you, we'll do. So you'll win even if you don't win, but one person will win massively. So we'll get your tickets off Stu at the end or in the morning, because we'll draw that straight after lunch. Right, but I'd forgotten about that. I should have mentioned it earlier in the day. It wasn't written on the flip chart. So, yeah, ask yourself that. And clients need to think now so they can more identify, is it worth even bothering doing this? Or more to the point, more important then, is it worth bothering? Is it something that's truly beneficial? Or is it just going to instill more doubt into their mind? You want everything to be positive pattern matching, repetition, positive reinforcement. Now, people often put off doing things. Gets labelled as procrastination. Some other people call it task aversion. You know, if you've got 20 things you don't need doing, you look at them and go, I don't really want to do that. I'm not sure I really want to speak to that person. Just right now, you know what? I'll do this task instead. I'll do that later. Now, the way around that is, that's because in the red it would be painful to do it, I don't want to do it, it would be more pleasurable to avoid doing it. For people to move forward and actually achieve what they truly want to achieve, there's bound to be things along the way that normally they would procrastinate over, or task aversion would kick in. So they need to avoid that, they need to personally apply massive pain to not doing it now, and pleasure to getting it done and being able to move on. So they've got to really focus on the fact, you know what, as much as I don't want to do that, if I do it now, A, it's out of the way and it's done, and B, it'll make all this other shit far more likely to happen more rapidly, positively for me, so I'm going to reach my end goal or whatever far more rapidly. You've got to keep that end goal inside the bigger picture. It's not just about the there and then, it's the much bigger picture. So, a question you might want to ask yourself when you get into this is, are your clients sad? You might want to ask yourself, are you sad? Who knows? Now, sad can stand for many things. It can stand for the opposite of happy, obviously. Or in therapy, it often gets chucked around to mean seasonal affective disorder. You know, when people at certain times of the year feel really down because there's not as much sunshine. Fuck off. Or it can mean social anxiety disorder, which means getting anxiety or anxious out and about socially amongst other people. Or it could be stress, anxiety, depression. But the key is that all just labels making people think and therefore feel, it doesn't matter if it's reality or not, remember, if somebody feels it, feel that they're a member of this group of people that are sad in one of those ways or have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Basically a fancy way of saying that post, after an event that was traumatic, it caused them stress, worry, anguish, whatever, and that still happens inappropriately, so they've got a disorder. There was a good friend of mine, Cal Smith, hypnosis trainer but former police officer and former armed forces. He did he's done 22 army tours, and he was also in the armed police. So his first, I'm not going to go into details, but he witnessed some shit that he got retired from the police ultimately. They labelled him with post-traumatic stress disorder. He wasn't prepared to accept that label. And he's now written a book, which is releasing very shortly, called There's No D in PTSD. which I recommend you to look at, because it will further reinforce and show you from another perspective that it is just a fucking label. People can choose to get on with it or not. They don't necessarily realise that that option's open to them, because conventional approach will say to them, oh, you've got PTSD, oh, you better have some of these, my love, and we'll send you to the counsellor, but in the meantime take these tablets, do this. And the expert, the authority figures fucking told them this. It's like Alcoholics Anonymous, where they reinforce the fact that they are an alcoholic, it's just that they've not drunk anything for a few weeks. They're setting themselves up to have further panic attacks, further stress, further worry, further anguish, further fucking negative shit that's relevant to whatever label that the expert authority figure's given them. Hence, Cal says there's no disorder. If you take the word disorder away, it immediately becomes less negative sounding. Well, of course, you might have some post-traumatic stress, but then he goes through a process of it dissipating even more. Not mine to share. However, ultimately, it does work for the same fucking reason. You need the client to realise that it's just a label. And if they believe they are that label, if they self-identify as that, they will start to take that little upturned triangle on its tape, and they'll pattern match and identify any negative feeling as, that must be a symptom of my PTSD or my OCD or my depression or my stress. Oh yeah, that's another one to put in the negative memory bank, so that next time when something happens, I'll pattern match and go, and it will become stronger, and you'll end up with the upturned pyramid where the person is fucking unbalanced, thanks to someone who claims that they're helping them. But who convenient it is in an industry where they make lots of money out of not curing people through prescribing drugs and keeping people. That sounds a bit conspiracy, but look at it logically, it's fine. So our job, and that's why it's relatively easy, but not so easy as well, depends how you look at it, is we've got to get them to stop labelling themselves as, when they come to you, they go, oh, I've got social anxiety disorder. Have you, my love? No, you fucking haven't. Who told you that? Oh, my doctor told me that. Oh, doctor's expert in that, is it? Now, the thing is, they're going to go, well, yeah, that's why he's a doctor.
Yeah.
I go, well, let me tell you something. Your doctor might be very good at prescribing you drugs, telling you need to go and see this counsellor for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. But there's a reason you come here today, there's a reason you've already paid 50% of your fee up front. And that reason's probably got something to do with the fact you looked at my website or a leaflet. And on there you saw other people saying that when they come to me, they walked away and their issues were gone completely. And they felt way, way, way better. Otherwise you wouldn't be here, would you? And there's really not much choice but to concede the fact that there's some logic and truth in what you just said there. So you say, the reason that those people said that when they left me, they didn't have those issues anymore is quite simply because I'm an expert in what I do, and what I do doesn't involve prescribing you drugs. Far more important than that, I come out with winky wanky terms like, we're going to reprogram your personal laptop computer. So the first thing we need to do is delete from your mind the idea that you've got bloody social anxiety disorder or whatever the bloody label they come with. Whereas conventional approaches like Alcoholics Anonymous are not getting them to disassociate, they're getting them to keep associating and identifying themselves with that negative label. It's no wonder people relapse and end up in rehab again and again and again. Because they're telling themselves that they're still alcoholic or they're still gamblers. As opposed to getting rid of the label, you've got to get rid of the label so that from that moment forward they have become and continue to be whatever. Should they down the line, okay, let's say the alcoholic stops drinking, he's now, he doesn't drink, simple as that, he's not an alcoholic any further. If he should, start drinking again in 6 months' time, then that might just be moderate. In which case, not an alcoholic. Or if he did become an alcoholic again, well, then he started from them. Better then to treat them again and go, now you're not, then make it more likely that it's going to happen every few months, which is what you read about with. So you've got to, like that pyramid we talked about, smashing it down, you've got to get them to disassociate from the label they've been given. The label they've been given by probably a medical GP, but ultimately because of what psychiatry has decided that that medical GP has to tell people, okay? Who then refers you to a counsellor or a, what's it, what?
The post-traumatic stress disorder's sort of been a bit relabelled, hasn't it, to syndrome rather than disorder.
Syndrome, disorder, bloody, whatever, it's still a label, Lord.
Yes, it's a terrible label.
Any label, unless it's one you positively make up for yourself, is pretty much terrible, because it's negative reinforcement. But psychiatry is a farce. You want to prove that to yourself, because you need to believe this in yourself to transmit it to your clients, so that they buy into it and believe, so you come across credibly. DSM-5, which is the psychiatry kind of Bible, it's the book psychiatrists look at and they go, displaying this symptom, this symptom, this symptom, this symptom, therefore must be obsessive compulsive disorder, therefore must prescribe this drug, right? Thing is, if you get a copy of DSM-5, the most recent one, and then you go on Amazon and buy a second-hand copy of DSM, number 1, from years ago, and compare the two, you'll see that the solution for dealing with this issue has changed. And the drug that they prescribe has changed. If you then bother to go on Google and do some research, you discover that quite often, it might just be a coincidence this, decide for yourself, but it quite often is because there's more profit to be made out of that new drug than the one that was being prescribed at that time. And at the end of the day, when you look closely at the clinical studies, both of the drugs tend to, upon close examination, be no better really than a teeny bit more possibly in some people, but in the majority of people, just no better than a placebo. So why change what they're prescribing when they know that? Money, ka-ching. They sit on a committee and they vote and come up with new, people have got these symptoms, will say, let's come up, we need a name for it. You know, years ago there was no such thing as fucking bipolar. Bisexual, yes. Bipolar, no. Bipolar, I thought it was a fucking Eskimo prostitute. It wasn't, it was called depression. Or manic depression, ups and downs, no, relabeled as bipolar. Prove it to yourself, compare the old and new editions, it's bullshit. Type in YouTube, psychiatry is a farce. You'll get people on video that are showing you the old edition and the new ones and comparing paragraphs. It'll very quickly show you that what I'm saying is true. And you need to sincerely believe that every single thing I'm telling you is true in order to be able to help your clients most effectively. Because the bottom line is there is more money in drugs and treatment than curing people. Now, the doctors may have the greatest of intentions, but you know what? They go through a conventional training, conventional medical school that brainwashes them to believe a certain thing, that the powers that be want them to believe. So they go away and they pass their exam. And when they pass their exam, they've got their certificate, which validates them that they know what they're on about. But they only know what they've been told. And what they've been taught is how to pass an exam. That's all you're really taught at school. How to pass the exam the way that the examiner wants you to, which is what's in their interest. And when you look at it, you look back, it's not long down this rabbit hole before you discover that there's money involved. The people at the top control education, who've got shares in these. This is not conspiracy, it's fucking fact. You'll find it yourself, it might sound a bit conspiracy theory, but out there, blatantly easy to find. So of course, they brainwash the doctor could sincerely think he's helping you. I'm not saying that they're all purposely going, if I prescribe this, although there are doctors, it's been shown in America. You know, the drug companies have been told off. If you type in, lawsuits against drug companies in America, you'll find ones that have been told off for offering too many incentives to doctors to prescribe their drug for an issue rather than the competitors.
Is a board, if a doctor sort of prescribes something different and he gets caught doing that, being a bit of a maverick, he gets put in front of a board,
yes.
a medical board, and actors go in and you get given a scenario to go into this doctor,
yeah.
and he's got to find out what's up with it, and if he can't find it, he can get struck off because he's not sticking to the rules that he should be prescribing.
Oh, he finds it in truth, but it doesn't fit in with what they want him to have said and found, then he gets struck off. It's a control, it's a fucking control thing. And that's why they've tried to ban in the past certain complementary and alternative medical treatment approaches because they don't want to lose money themselves. They want to control everything. When you realise that, and you can make you have more faith in everything I've been saying, which will give you conviction to transmit that to your clients. So the human mind model, it is just a model. It's a way of thinking of it. The fact is there's no proof, this is the fact. There's no proof of any psychology conclusively, but on the weight of evidence, some things we can go, yeah, that makes sense. Well, hypnosisly speaking, well, imagine that you've got your conscious mind, then in the middle you've got your, critical faculty, or analytical area, and at the back, the unconscious or subconscious mind. Now, it genuinely doesn't work that way. Take the human brain and dissect it, it actually goes this direction. But let's fucking forget that. We're not here to learn about dissecting brains. It's irrelevant to our outcome. Let's just imagine that it goes conscious, critical faculty, unconscious, because ultimately the end result's the same. I like to think of the conscious mind here as being the ticket tape outside the theatre. Wanting to tempt people in even if they shouldn't be in there. But inside the doorway, the critical faculty, analytical area, is the nightclub bouncer or the theatre bouncer who goes, hang on, I just saw you buy that ticket off the dodgy ticket tail. You're not coming in. Or notices that it's a real ticket and goes, that's fine, no danger, we're not getting ripped off, in you go. And then the unconscious mind or subconscious, most people say subconscious, but the truth is in conventional psychology they actually refer to it as the unconscious mind. That's why I say, but I like to imagine that as being the person who, or once you've got inside this nightclub theatre and you've had one too many drinks, you've become the emotional drunk. How have you? Or starts acting like a child because they're having so much fun. If we think back to what we said before about inner child therapy, just like, yeah, this is great. No, you're not having the toy back. No, I don't want to go to bed yet. So, no, I don't want to stop smoking. No, I'm having too much fun drinking. No, I don't want to stop gambling. But because it's already got past the nightclub bouncer, the doorman, it's in. What goes on behind these closed doors, this particular nightclub, what stays behind the doors stays behind the doors. The only way of kind of getting it out is if you can get past the critical faculty. So, your conscious mind, ticket out, needs to have a genuine ticket or something that the critical faculty analytical area will recognise as being a genuine ticket. So in terms of therapy, that would be something that doesn't get conflicted. Something that's got enough desire, belief, expectation, value attached to it, that the doorman goes, yeah, well, go on, go and have a peek inside. Might be still a teeny little element of doubt, I don't know, because, I've had negative pattern matching for so long, but go on, have a little peek inside, let's see what you can do. That's kind of what we're doing with clients, you could argue. We are distracting the doorman so we can run past and get inside, find the emotional drunk, and slap him round the face and go, fucking sober up, you twat. It's essentially what's going on, and that's a lot closer than you may think, as you'll find out in a few moments' time. Something I need to mention at this point is a thing called neuroplasticity. Which leads us to a thing called Hebb's law. Hebb's law, most people pronounce it as. It's about H-E-B-B-S. Which effectively says that the neurons that fire together wire together. Which relates to a saying that you probably have heard more regularly during your life of use it or lose it. But it ties back in with what we said earlier on about pattern matching. The more something matches up, the more it's reinforced and strengthened. But just as with Pavlov's dog, once they started salivating and they'd learned that and they got conditioned, they did unlearn it. You've got to remember that. Most people forget that part. After a period of time, they did unlearn. So it is possible to unlearn, or let's say the mind's a computer, it is possible to get past the front bit, the icons, click on the right one, distract, or press F, whatever, as you're booting up, so that you can get past the analytical area or the home screen and get into the hard drive and delete the shit or the virus and put in something positive, in our case, better patterns, better visual images for them to pattern match. Does this make sense? Good. And that's hence why repetition of suggestions is so important. Yeah, fuck that. Timothy Leary. If you want to get into all this neural wiring diagrams of the brain, you can look at books by Timothy Leary. But I'm sure he's smoking lots of interesting things in the table. But the truth is, what he was saying, and this is where there's hope, it's even brain damage victims who've been told that they can no longer do something, part of the brain's gone down, can, and it has been shown through constant repetition of being, they call it occupational therapy, but there have been people who've ended up walking again because they've ended up learning a new way of programming it in the brain. And day by day, if you keep your eyes open to these stories out there are stories of inspiration and hope that prove that, you know, when people say there's no hope for these people, that actually there can be. And then it makes you think, is this just another example, is this just a more perverse example of Roger Bannister in the 4-Minute Mile? So, one other very important kind of way the mind works, or the mind and body connection works, perhaps more importantly, is that we have what we call, people have heard of the fight and flight response quite often, but what not everyone's always heard of is the fact that there is a mid-level to that called freeze. So there's flight, well, fight, so I'll do it the same as the board, fight, flight, and in the middle is freeze. Or another way to look at this is, in dinosaur days, caveman days, they weren't the same time, and on history shit, but we said the caveman went out, and he confronted, a dinosaur came towards him, and he had a choice. Either his blood would start to pump, his mouth would start to run dry, his muscles would tense and give him more adrenaline and stuff, and he'd have a choice to either A, fight and kill dinosaurs to take food home for the family, or flight, run like fuck to get away, and be saved for another day, or panic and let confusion and disorientation and shock set in. Oh shit, what do I do? Shall I fight? Shall I vote? And then before they know it, they're dead. So, fight, in this example, is equivalent to killing the dinosaur. And when you're in fight mode, your muscles tense, your mouth goes dry, so you can operate at peak. Flight end of it is running away from the dinosaur, which is the point where you're no longer stressed, you're relaxed about it once you get to safety, at which point the saliva comes back to your mouth. And then there's the midpoint where you could freeze because confusion, disorientation, shock set in and get eaten by the dinosaur. Or is also the state, if there is anything, there's a hypnosis state. If there is, then this is it. Or at least it most certainly is when you're using a rapid, instant or shock induction technique. Because you overwhelm people with so much confusion and disorientation and go, what the fuck's going on, what's the fuck going on, shall I get out of here and not do it, or shall I resist, and they freeze. And it's overwhelmed, and they just go, oh fuck you, it's just easier to do whatever the hypnotist says. And you kind of shut the brain off, bypassing the critical faculty, analytical area, and then whatever you say to them that goes in the unconscious, the imagination is another word for the unconscious. Well, as we know, the imagination doesn't know the difference between imagined and reality. And when the imagination and the human will are in conflict, the imagination will always win. So that's why then you can tell them to do things and they do them. So yeah, the fight response can also relate to people being resistant, non-believers, uncooperative on stage, not being very reactive, whereas at the flight end of the scale, where they're relaxed, that could also be relevant to hypnotherapy or relaxer therapy, where you use things such as progressive relaxation induction, getting them to tense the muscles and then relax them, which Jacobson, it's a technique he came up with. We'll talk about that more later. So it all interrelates, even the bloody fight, freeze law is the nearest thing to hypnosis. I mention this now before we move on because a guy called Dr. Angel Escudero, a Spanish surgeon who lives in Valencia in Spain and also operates there, came up with his important seeming ritualistic process that he could present as the authority figure that he called no easy therapy. And it's pronounced no easy therapy, which quite amuses me because it's dead fucking simple to do. So it's kind of name grown. But apparently that means, and it does when it's deciphered, means treatment through thought. When it's deciphered, translated, it actually means treatment through thought. It's telling you how it's done. And in a nutshell, what he's done, if you type in Dr. Angel Escudero, Your Life in Their Hands in YouTube, you'll see documentaries of him doing operations, sawing bone out people's legs, cutting them open, all this kind of stuff, without any conventional chemical anaesthesia. And they feel no discomfort. Notice I say no discomfort, not no pain. Because when I say no discomfort, it's a suggestion that it's nowhere near as bad as pain anywhere. So, and you'll notice he never says to his clients that, you have pain. He'll say, in the past you might have experienced pain, but now you realise that the level of discomfort, immediately it's lower. With the suggestion, everything about your language with your clients has to be such that it's a positive suggestion. But ultimately what he came up with is what I would say is nothing more than anchoring conditioned response. He realised that the flight response is that your mouth, you relax, your body relaxes and saliva returns to your mouth. But in the fight response, your muscles tense, you're stressed, and your mouth goes dry. And the pain is associated with the dry mouth, the fight end. Being relaxed and having saliva in the mouth is the opposite of fight. So he pondered and tested and found it worked. But if he taught his clients to get liquid saliva on their tongue, and then they found a bit silly when they talk, which you'll see on the videos, but he does get them to talk with it on their tongue. And give themselves an affirmation, a suggestion, a command, call it what you will, 3 times, the power of 3, again, repetition, and generally 3 times a day. So they're getting brainwash conditioned, believing it more for the pattern matching, tie-in again. Ties in with them old coups, every day and every way. It ties in with everything we spoke about. That he can say to them, look, if they were going to say, if they were having experienced arthritic pain in the right leg, he says to them, say, my right leg is now, feels no discomfort whatsoever, 3 times. Never mention the word pain, there's never any negative suggestion, it's a positive. My right leg feels no discomfort whatsoever. I know it sounds ridiculous, but this is what he gets them to do. And often, because it does seem ridiculous when I talk about it like this, you think seriously, it gets people to go, it'll sound a bit like nut jobs. When you do something that seems ridiculous, the strange paradox is, the more ridiculous it seems when you analyse it closely in this kind of context, the more likely it is to work for a client. You know why? Because surely you, this authority figure, with the bits of paper on the wall, who's read all those books, who's dead serious, who's got the testimonials on the website saying how you've helped other people, wouldn't get them to do something this ridiculous unless it worked. So you must be doing it for a reason, so the perception is of credibility. And that's the important thing, so you practically can get, and quite often a lot of so-called fucking mumbo-jumbo therapy approaches do get them, I'm sure they're just made up, to see how far they can push the envelope, I've always said that if somebody believes that if you took a stick of celery, inserted it into their right nostril, then gave them a piece of rhubarb and said, when you stick that in your anal passage, you'll be hypnotised and cured. But if they believe it enough, and you could do it with a straight face and transmit the confidence that it would work, that it bloody would work.
Witch doctor.
Exactly. It truly, truly is. So, you know, Angelo Escudero, example, he came up with his own thing, but ultimately, he's just taking the fact that people are already physiologically anchored to, conditioned to, have a pattern match in their brain to the idea that when saliva's in their mouth, they're relaxed. And when they're relaxed, they feel far less discomfort. Whereas when they're in pain, they've got a dry mouth, they're tense and this, that, the other. So we help them get that saliva in and out by getting them to imagine somebody cutting a lemon in half and dripping, and if need be, you'll get a lemon and suck on it. And that generally if you want fun with the Salvation Army, get a lemon, go and stand near them, cut it in half and suck it, and watch the trumpet player fuck up very rapidly. You'll see how that is valuable and works for him. So, oh God, I do believe, yes, we're getting there. Modelling, there's people do 3-week-long courses on modelling, as they call it in NLP, or as I like to call it, copying.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is. Now, one of the people who runs 3-week-long courses is a guy called Dr. Wyatt Woodsmore, who back in 1984 worked with the US Army and their marksmen to try and find a way of teaching them quicker, but not just teaching them quicker, so that their pass rate would be dramatically improved. And what he did was modelling, or as I call it, copying. He found all the best marksmen, and he asked them loads of questions like, what do you feel when you're about to take a shot? It's not just about what they did physically, he asked them what they found, what they believed, and all these kind of things. He collected all this data, and then he basically got the students to believe that. He put pattern matches into the head, and ultimately the bottom line is they did pass quicker, and they did pass with higher scores. Because there is, with success, some level of, as a result of success, certain things you'll end up feeling, thinking and stuff. And they don't tend to teach you that, but by virtue of feelings create emotions, create thoughts, create actions. In the same manner, if someone's doing a successful action, you can find out what they're feeling at the time. You are more likely to end up being able to have that successful action if you're feeling the right thing. So it does make sense when you look at it. Now, I know he does 3-week-long courses in this, because the Broadfield Hotel behind the Flying Horse, where we're going at the end of the course, he put one on there at the same time. One of the weekends coincided with me doing an NLP training event there, but I didn't know at the time. I get there, there's all these people, I kid you not, they're walking around like they're tied together at the ankle here. And in fact, I think some of them were tied together at the ankle, so they've got their arms around each other, they're walking around, and they're going, so, how does this make me feel right now, and all this? And I'm looking at them, and I thought, it makes me feel fucking on top of the world, because I'm pissing myself laughing at these dickheads. And I thought, what the fuck's going on here? And I went and inquired and said, oh yes, it's Dr. Wyatt Woodsmore, he's here from America, and he's doing a 3-week course in modelling. 7 days a week, 21 days to become a master modeller. And I went, you mean copy? Hey. As I can teach somebody to do that next to no time, you just ask them exactly what they're thinking, feeling at the time. Well, what's the fuck? Oh yeah, well, the learning to climb inside people's mind. Fuck off. You're selling an overpriced piece of junk. It works. Don't get me wrong, it works. Because of what we just said about if you can think the same way as successful people in that field, you're more likely to do it. Well, that's effectively it. Well, the nice lesson to learn from that is, if you do what I have done, and say what I have said, and believe you will get the same results as I've done during my 27+ year career to date, then just so long as you truly believe you will get the same results, i.e. that the person will become cured, or they will be animated on stage, you say the same things in the same way, which means you will have to feel the same way, you'll have to truly believe it, to give out that credibility and perception and project it to the client, then you will get the same results, because that's how modelling bloody works. And that's the only reason I mention it. Generally speaking, NLP just stands for nonsensically long pantomime, if I want to take the piss a bit, or in a non-piss-taking way, it actually just stands for natural learning processes. It's not as magical or mystical as people would like to make out, it's just the way people cash in on people get them to go on course after course, which is recovery. When you will truly understand how it works, you never need another course. So, moving more towards hypnosis. I've been trying to show you why it is the same as all these other things, but what I call the hypnotic square are the 4 keys, the 4 corners, the 4 foundations to hypnotising people, which you're not going to do anyway because hypnosis doesn't fucking exist. But if you want to believe that you're hypnotising them with your ritualistic winky-wanky induction process, fine if it makes you feel better. You'll be deluding yourself, but if you want to think that, that's fine. The key is that they believe something.